The lights were blazing, water cannons firing, and thousands of fans were screaming her name. Then suddenly, in the middle of performing one of K-pop's most iconic songs, HyunA collapsed. Right there on stage at Waterbomb Macau, the legend who built her career on unstoppable energy just stopped. Dancers rushed in, security carried her off, and within minutes, the videos were everywhere. But here's what most people don't realize. This wasn't just a random incident. This was the culmination of everything that's been building since one of K-pop's most talked about relationships fell apart. When HyunA and Dawn ended things back in late 2022, it sent shockwaves through the industry. These weren't just any idols dating quietly behind closed doors. They were the couple that said screw the rules and went fully public. At the time, HyunA was already one of the biggest solo acts in K-pop, and Dawn was part of the rising group Pentagon. They'd been dating in secret for about 2 years before deciding they couldn't hide anymore. The backlash was immediate. Their company, Cube Entertainment, kicked both of them out. Dawn lost his group. HyunA lost her label. But instead of backing down, they doubled down. For the next 4 years, they became the most visible couple in an industry built on invisibility. Matching tattoos of each other's names, bleached hair in wild colors, avant-garde fashion that pushed boundaries. They posted couple photos constantly and made it clear they weren't going to pretend for anyone's comfort. Their relationship wasn't just romance, it was a brand, a movement, and a massive risk that somehow paid off. But that also meant when things ended, the fallout was massive. If HyunA and Dawn, the couple who risked everything to be together, couldn't make it work, what did that say? Whatever the real reason, they kept it private, and the split was clean on paper. But emotionally, it was messy in every possible way. Fast forward to this past fall, and Dawn stepped back into the spotlight looking like a completely different person. After finishing his military service, he showed up at his label's after-party in New York, and people barely recognized him. Gone were the bleached eyebrows, the experimental makeup, the avant-garde styling. Instead, he looked healthy, grounded, and genuinely confident in a way that felt brand new. The transformation was so striking that fans flooded social media with reactions. Some were genuinely shocked they didn't recognize him at first. Others started questioning whether his old image had ever really been his choice. Comments ranged from supportive to brutal, with people saying things like, "Thank God they broke up because he was starting to look unwell." The message was clear. The public sees this as Dawn's glow-up, his redemption arc. And for the first time since the breakup, he wasn't being defined by who he used to date. But that newfound peace got tested when he agreed to appear on the reality dating show Exchange 4. The producers had been trying to get him on for over a year, but he'd always declined. Now that he finally said yes, it became obvious what they really wanted: drama. During one episode, the conversation drifted toward ex-relationships, and you could feel the tension building. The host looked directly at him and asked how he personally feels about staying in touch with exes. Dawn didn't hesitate. He said he's never contacted any of them after a breakup, not once, and even when they reached out, he never replied. He added that he doesn't understand the concept of getting back together at all. Everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. Later in the same episode, a female guest shared her story about seeing an ex move on with someone new, and the host immediately turned to Dawn and asked if he could relate. After a pause, he basically confirmed that yes, he could. The host quickly apologized, but the damage was done. One thing became clear: Dawn and HyunA haven't spoken since the split, and he's still processing the fact that she moved on. While Dawn was getting praise for his transformation, HyunA was going through her own reinvention, but the public reaction couldn't have been more different. In the summer, she shocked fans by posting photos with a bold new look: bright orange bob, playful energy, and right next to her was her new husband, Yong Jun-hyung, sporting electric blue hair. The matching hair colors, the coordinated aesthetics, it all felt familiar. Immediately, people started comparing it to her Dawn era. But before we go further, we need to talk about who Jun-hyung actually is. He used to be a member of Highlight, but in 2019, he left the group after being named in the Burning Sun scandal. For those who don't know, Burning Sun was one of the biggest scandals in K-pop history, involving illegal filming, distribution of explicit videos without consent, and worse. Jun-hyung wasn't charged with crimes, but he admitted to being part of a group chat where illegal videos were shared, and he acknowledged watching them. He apologized, left his group, and went into hiding. When fans found out HyunA was dating him, the reaction was overwhelmingly negative. People couldn't understand why she would choose to be with someone connected to such a dark chapter. Then, in 2024, they got married, and the backlash intensified. So when she posted those matching hair photos, the comments were brutal. One viral post said HyunA's husband is slowly starting to look like Dawn's old version, with people pointing out that Jun-hyung had adopted the colorful hair and couple coordination that defined the Dawn era. Whether intentional or not, the comparisons were unavoidable. And unlike Dawn, who got praised for changing his image, HyunA got dragged for keeping hers. People accused her of trying to replace what she lost. The hate was relentless. Then, in early October, everything shifted in the worst possible way. HyunA and Jun-hyung appeared at the airport with new looks, both rocking black hair and darker outfits. But instead of talking about their style, the comments exploded with criticism about HyunA's body. People claimed she'd gained weight. Speculation about pregnancy started flying. Others said she looked unrecognizable, that she'd let herself go. The remarks were relentless and cruel. This wasn't concern, it was just mean. What makes this painful is the double standard. At the exact same time Dawn was being praised for looking healthier, HyunA was being torn apart for not being thin enough. Female idols are held to impossible beauty standards that don't apply to their male counterparts. A few days later, HyunA posted something on Instagram that broke hearts across the fandom. It was throwback photos where she looked noticeably thinner, paired with a caption written in a self-critical tone. She essentially told herself to stop eating so much, to get it together, to go on a hardcore diet because she used to love being bone skinny. The post wasn't a joke. It was her echoing the hateful comments that had clearly gotten under her skin. Fans immediately flooded her with support, begging her to ignore the haters and prioritize her mental health. But the damage was already done. The post spread across platforms like wildfire, and many pointed out how devastating it is that HyunA, someone who built her career on confidence, was now feeling pressured to shrink herself to meet toxic standards. A few weeks ago, HyunA revealed on Instagram that she'd lost 10 kilograms, showing her current weight at 49 kilos. That's about 108 pounds, which for her height is on the lower end of healthy. To some, it seemed like she was reclaiming control. To others, it was a red flag. The speed of the weight loss, the fact that it came right after the body shaming, all of it pointed to someone feeling immense pressure. Fans expressed concern, but it was clear the message wasn't getting through. And then came Waterbomb Macau. Waterbomb is one of the most physically demanding festival concepts in K-pop. Performers are drenched in water from massive cannons throughout their entire set in summer heat. It's not easy even for idols in peak condition. And for someone who had just gone through rapid weight loss while dealing with non-stop scrutiny, it was a recipe for disaster. HyunA was performing Bubble Pop, the song that defined her solo career. Fans said she seemed off from the beginning, like her energy wasn't quite the same. Then suddenly, in the middle of the routine, she just stopped. She stumbled, tried to keep going, and then collapsed right there on stage. Her backup dancers immediately surrounded her while security rushed in to help. They carried her off stage while the crowd stood in shocked silence. Within minutes, videos were everywhere. The reaction was immediate. Fans started connecting the dots between the rapid weight loss, the constant criticism, the physical demands, and the conditions at Waterbomb. Comments flooded in saying this was bound to happen. There was anger, sadness, and guilt from fans who felt like the community had failed her. Some people even admitted they'd made comments about her weight and now regretted it, realizing their words contributed to putting her in this position. Hours after the collapse, HyunA posted a statement on Instagram. She apologized repeatedly, saying she was so sorry to everyone who came to see her perform. She said she wanted to show everyone her best side, but felt like she'd failed. She admitted she didn't remember what happened on stage, which is terrifying. She kept apologizing to her dancers, to the fans, to everyone. She promised to work harder on building up her stamina. And then she reassured everyone that she was okay and told people not to worry. But that statement actually made things worse for a lot of fans. Because instead of acknowledging that maybe she pushed herself too hard, she was apologizing for collapsing. She was blaming herself for not being strong enough. The statement revealed just how much pressure she's under, how much she's internalized the idea that she has to be flawless no matter what. But as long as they're in the spotlight, people will keep judging. What happened at Waterbomb wasn't just a health scare. It was the inevitable result of months of pressure and a system that prioritizes image over well-being. It's time to stop treating artists like they exist for our judgment and start recognizing they're human beings under a spotlight that never turns off. HyunA doesn't need to be thinner or quieter or more careful. She just needs space to heal and exist without being torn apart. Because if we don't give her that, we'll keep seeing moments like Waterbomb, where someone collapses under the weight of expectations that were never fair to begin with. And at that point, we have to ask ourselves, is our need for perfection really worth someone's health?